Hi everyone, my name is Dumebi. I'm a designer, currently head of design at Big Cover Media. Today I'll be talking about how to grow and empower local design talent. Um, to start, about me, fun fact, I love both cat and dogs. I've seen a lot of my friends either love one of the two, but I do love both. I've been designing for 10 years now. Currently, I'm the head of design at Big Cabal Media. At Big Cabal Media, we publish some tech publications, techabal.com and Zikoko, which is a social commentary publication. And in my spare time, I mentor designers on adplist.com. Which is about twice a week. And I'm a member of Ashakotri, which is an interdisciplinary community of designers. We have motion designers, 3D designers, all kinds of designers, and we support each other, mentor each other, and recommend roles to each other. So today, I want to answer the question, or I'd like us to approach this talk in a classic way. We start design projects by asking questions. All right. So the question I want to ask is, how might we grow and empower local design talent? Or to put it in another way, how might we grow and empower African design talent? Or we could say, how might we improve design education in Africa? Why why did I go to design education? And because we are all a function of things we know, right? Every knowledge we have is cumulative, where some total of ideas we've absorbed over the years. So the kinds of designers we are is a function of design courses, design influences we've had, mentorship, supports we've received as designers. So I'd like to focus on how we might improve on design education in Africa. So why is this important? First is that in the unemployment Olympics, Africa takes the Grand Prix. Currently, South Africa leads with the gold medal at 34.4%, followed by Namibia at 33.4% and Nigeria. And these are the rates of unemployment according to Bloomberg. And these are not these are not beautiful statistics. Noting also the fact that in Africa, a high percentage of the population are young people below the ages of 25 years. Another factor is literacy rates. Africa has the lowest literacy rate of 64% among the continents of the world. And the other point is Africa has a high population, about 1.37 billion people in the world are Africans. For context, 1 in 6 people in the world are Africans. And an important side note to this is that 40% of this number are under 15 years, which means that in the next 10 to 15 years, a higher percentage of the adult population of the world are going to be Africans. And with the unemployment rates we're looking at, something has to be done about it. Okay, yeah. So an approach I want to look at is the apprenticeship model, right? And why this is interesting is I'm Igbo by tribe in Nigeria. I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, and I'm Igbo by tribe. Most Igbo people are businessmen. They engage in trade. And one of the hallmarks of Igbo trade and that Igbo people are very successful and they trade all around the world is the apprenticeship model. So I'm going to tell a story from the context of my tribe, and the culture of my tribe. So what happened is for every young man or every young person growing up in Igbo land, there are two pathways. One is getting formal education, and the second pathway is business. So what they often do is once a child finishes their secondary school or high school, as the case may be, or sometimes in some cases their primary school, they are sent to work, they are sent to serve an established businessman as an apprentice. And this apprenticeship usually occurs over the course of 7 years. During the course of this time, they work with the master in this context. They work with the master, learn from the master, assist the master during sales, during stock picking, inventory, stocking, and all of that. And the interesting part about this is that after the course of that 7 years, the master sets up the protege, gives the protege capital to start their own business. And that's the interesting part of this. Now, in this case, I don't expect design mentor to give capital to a design protege. But the interesting part about this is that this system has ensured the continuation of the culture of success within the tribe over the years and over the generations. Now, according to Wikipedia, apprenticeship is a system of training a new generation of practitioners of a trade or profession with on-the-job training, and this often accompanies study. I do love this definition so much because of these two parts, on-the-job training and accompanying study. And I'm going to explain why in a few slides. Now, why did I use this picture here? This is an image of the Queen Mother Idia ivory mask. It was made in the 1800s. And it's really incredible that a work of this complexity and intricate beauty was made in the 1800s, right? And at that time, the only way that these kinds of crafts, the Benin Kingdom was popular for ivory carving and bronze works. And according to research over the years, scholars have mentioned time over time that even the best practices in Europe could not beat the practices used in Benin in the 1800s and 1700s, right? And how the system was propagated in the community is that they had a community of craftsmen. We have the masters and the apprentices, and so the trade continues, the craft continues. So this shows that as Africans, we already have a culture of crafts. We have two different countries of Africa. We have pottery, we have paintings, and various kinds of artworks, right? So we're going to look at what is the status quo, or rather, what is the way that many people get into design in Africa at the moment. Right now, most African designers learn from YouTube tutorials and free online courses. That's their entryway into design. I remember when I got into design 10 years ago, all I had access to was downloaded YouTube courses because as at the time, I couldn't afford internet. So I had a good friend who downloaded some YouTube tutorials and shared them with me in a hard drive. And for many other people, now, because of this, there are some things that happen, which I'm going to talk about here. The pros of this process is that it's cheap and it's accessible. It's cheap, it's not very expensive. If you can afford data, or a group of people can pull data together, download the tutorials and all share and watch together. It's accessible to anyone. You don't need to get an admission. You don't need to travel to another city to learn. You can, learn it in your own home. But then it has a couple of cons, which is sort of stunting the growth of the design culture or design economy, so to speak, in Africa. And because the tutorials are usually taught around tools. For example, there are YouTube tutorials, there are Premiere Pro tutorials, there are Illustrator tutorials. So most designers focus on learning tools relevant to doing the kinds of design they want to do. So there is the focus on tools instead of processes. Like, okay, to put it in context, imagine going to a dentist and finding out that the dentist only knows how to operate the drill, but doesn't really understand your teeth or the health implications of the procedure they want to accomplish. So it's very important as designers that we refocus from just thinking of tools, but also about the entire design process. All right. The second point is there's a focus on projects versus building a portfolio. So you see many, like in Nigeria on Twitter, there are a couple of designers that will say, oh, I can do a logo for maybe $2, $3, $5, right? And the more senior designers will be very angry and they'll be like, you're underpricing design, and more often, many times, the quality of designs they put out are actually low. But the truth is, I can't really blame people because design has become a way to make money, a means of livelihood. But then there's a better way to go about it. Thinking beyond just doing projects to get a quick buck to building a portfolio of projects or solving a problem for a client. For example, launching a brand or marketing a product, designing the process to market a product or the process to launch a brand is more fulfilling and will get more remuneration or more money than just like single project. All right. The second is focus on aesthetics. There are it's like some people complain about it, about the dribblization of design, right? The fact that a lot of people, like, it's easy to, one of the ways to learn, even in arts over the years, is by copying. You go online, you see beautiful things you like, and you copy it. But the truth is that copying should only stay in the realm of working, not in the realm of actual projects because of copyright and other things. But then you see a couple of designers, because they didn't have maybe some formal guidance or support, they go on and copy another brand's logo and change the copy and send it as a final file for a client. And that is wrong, right? But rather, it should be a focus on solutions, like how do I solve the problem for this client? Or how do I, improve this client's brand? All right. And then the third point, which is important, is many designers starting to focus on gigs or one-off projects, freelancing, instead of thinking in terms of building a design career. Because if you want to build a career, you see someone who wants to be a doctor, they start thinking, how do I go to medical school? But many people who want to be designers start thinking of which YouTube tutorial do I need to watch? But that thought has to change. We need to think, what kind of knowledge do I need to gain in order to build a career in design? So what if we have a different kind of design training in Africa? What if we have a different kind of training that is focused on mentorship, that is focused on learning and executing design thinking and learning by doing? Now, I'll go to them one after the other. So for mentorship, like I said in the earlier slides, I mentor designers on ADP list. At the end of the year, a lot of mentors shared testimonials. I actually saw someone who shared how he actually curated different mentors who specialize in different areas. And in quotes, he said that ADP list is his university because he has someone he discusses user research with, he has someone he discusses portfolio building and how to interview with. He has someone else discusses visual design with, and these people guide and mentor him. So mentorship provides an opportunity to have a structured way to learn. Even if someone wants to learn from YouTube, you can have, oh, okay, this is the playlist, this is the order to learn. Secondly, the design thinking. And I'm not saying this just in the context of the buzzword we throw around, but the process of design thinking, the process that goes from empathy to research, to empathy and research, to ideation and brainstorming, to prototyping, testing, and iterating and going through the process all over. Learning how to design, fail, rethink. Because one of the things I noticed, I was in the group and someone shared how a client gave a revert on the design and he blocked the client on social media. And that was very funny to me because feedback is not something to get angry about, but feedback is something to welcome because that's how your design improves. If you have the goal that I'm going to solve the problem of this person, every feedback means that the problem hasn't been solved. So I'm listening for feedbacks, I'm open to feedbacks, and I'm, taking note of those and imputing it into the process to solve the client's problem. And lastly is learning by doing. See, in this process, learning by doing comes last. It doesn't come first. It doesn't start from watching a YouTube tutorial and practicing what the person does without understanding why. Mentorship gives you why. You have your whys and you have your hows, design thinking. You learn This is the process to design. And then learning by doing is when you start practicalizing. If you want to be a UX designer, you start practicing with drawing wireframes, with interviewing users. You learn how to ideate, you learn how to, you learn how to sort the data and find ideas for how do I solve this person's problem. You learn user journey mapping and different things. You learn by doing. Here are my recommendations. For new designers, you've got this, right? There is this imposter syndrome. It happens to everyone where you go on Dribble, you go on YouTube, you go on Behance, and you see portfolios of designers, and you get overwhelmed, and you feel like, oh no, I can't play this. I can't play this game. The flip side of imposter syndrome is a hunger to learn, because what imposter syndrome does is that it exposes areas that you need to learn in, right? It's just like it's scary to learn how to ride a bicycle, but once you learn how to ride a bicycle, you become confident and you might even try a few tricks, right? So the solution is seek out mentors, mentors to guide you, mentors to teach you, read design blogs and articles, master design thinking. So in reading blogs and articles and in seeking out for tutorials to watch, more important than tools is design thinking and fundamental design principles like color, typography, layout, spacing, visual hierarchy, and all of that. So it's important. Now, I did mention courses to take because those are available, all right? But these are important things you need to do, even whether you have access to courses or not. And one of the things you seek out, one of the benefits of mentors is some mentors actually are part of organizations that give scholarships or support people to get into boot camps. So that's necessary, or that's an additional benefit to come from that. For companies, there's a saying, one of the things you could do is to sponsor design training in host communities. There's a saying that give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him to a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Most companies, you have corporate social responsibility programs, and you go out in communities and give gifts or tokens or aids to communities. More important than that, education is a very critical part of lifting people up from poverty or creating opportunities for people. So sponsoring design trainings, as companies, you can partner with organizations like UXDX, organizations like General Assembly, organizations like Interaction Design Foundation, and there are a lot of organizations in different countries in Africa and universities who offer design trainings. You can actually sponsor trainings for people to get into design. Another thing companies can do is encourage team members who have had extensive experience in the industry to mentor upcoming designers, as it becomes a guidance and provides a pathway for them to start their design careers. Final thoughts. As a recap, important things, an approach to look at design education is to start first from mentorship, having someone to guide the mentee or the protege. And like I said, one of the reasons it's important, it helps the person define their why, it helps them define their pathway in design. The second is to learn design thinking, design process, design methodology. And lastly is to learn by doing, learn by practicing. So to conclude, I'll end by this quote by Dieter Rams. He said that indifference toward people and the reality in which they live is actually the one and only cardinal sin in design. So in design, one of the most important values of designers is empathy, is the ability to step into people's shoes, the ability to relate, not just as an observer, but as a participant and think of ways to solve the problems in our communities. Thank you.